The AI Deal of Trust is a unique, fair opportunity to empower young generation about trust technology and AI opportunity. In the first chapter of this series, The AI Deal of Trust, we invite female leaders with exponential AI experience dedicated to one of the most crucial areas of AI ethics, AI responsible and trust technology. Today, our guest is Dr. Didem Gurdur Broo, Research Associate at the University of Cambridge. Hi Didem, welcome in the show, The AI Deal of Trust.
Hello, hi there. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm very happy and pleased to have you today with us in AI Exponential Thinker. And as we discussed it before, during this authentic discussions, we will dig deeply in many topics around trust technology and AI ethics. For sure, we will highlight your research in the context of exponential technology, and we are curious to learn more about your visions. But before that, let's start by your personal story and how you end up in this important positions and especially missions as a research associate at the University of Cambridge.
All right, yeah. So I am a computer scientist. So I studied computer science as a bachelor's degree. Though before that, I also studied graphics design from the arts faculty. So I can say that I know a bit about arts also, but I define myself as a computer engineer, computer scientist. And after that, I did my master's degree in sustainable environment and energy systems. My thesis was mainly focusing on hardware electronics part, but still it was trying to understand how we can use energy more efficiently in our computational settings. So after that, I did my PhD in mechatronics on data and visual analytics for cyber physical systems, which I still continue to work on cyber physical systems, and I still do data science for them. And I ended up as a research associate at the University of Cambridge. This is my second year here. I will be here until September. In September, I will move to Stanford University for another position.
Really? So this is an exclusive information for us today. So maybe,
right.
Like I used to go to Stanford before the lockdown and everything, right? And I love being over there and meeting the students, talking to the students, having some, I had at least 3 lecture sessions last year, and it was very interesting. And even AI Exponential Thinker, when we launched it from California, we did 1 session from Stanford as well with students.
Okay.
And it was it's the place to be. So congratulations. I didn't know this information, so it's exclusive for us. Congratulations, Didem. I'm so happy for you. So let's talk about your research. You said, for our young audience, but also for the C-levels leaders who are listening, who will listen to our podcast, the idea is to clarify what you are doing in the Center for Smart Infrastructure and Constructions, and what is the content of your research?
Yes. So as I said, I work with cyber physical systems, and these are the systems who have physical processes and software which or drives these physical processes. These systems also have networking capabilities, so they can share information with other systems, and according to the new information that they gather, they change their physical processes. So a better way to explain cyber physical systems, like anything else, is to give example. Collaborative robots are cyber physical systems, and I had the chance to work with them. So integrating different types of robots. Smart cities are cyber physical systems in the setting for the smart infrastructure and construction. And smart infrastructure is also cyber physical systems where we have physical processes, but also we collect data, we analyze this data according to these insights that we find, we change the processes. So what I do in the Center of Smart Infrastructure and Construction at the University of Cambridge is we build digital twins of different infrastructure assets. We bring the data capabilities to physical assets. And then we try to understand how we can use this monitored, collected data to make these assets to work more sustainably, perform more efficiently, and so on.
I was invited last year to work in a project of a smart city, and to be honest, generally it's very hard to explain how looks the smart city. And for me, it was a neighborhood country in Canada, in Vancouver, and first time why they invite me, right, the first time. And so I'm very curious, not for me for sure, but for the audience, to explain to them, if you can, Didem, what is the meaning of a smart city and how looks a smart city?
Yeah, this is a really good question. This is also a debate. Like any other term, different institutions, countries, organizations use it a bit different, and in some contexts, that small differences makes so much actually different understanding. So smart cities, from my definition, let's say this, I will not read any definition that I saved in my life. This is what I think about when I think smart cities. So cities which uses the data to gather insights and then use these insights to make the cities, for me, more sustainable, more interoperable, more inclusive, more diverse, and so on. For others who are coming from different angles, it may also mean that cities which collect smart meter data and then use this data to have more efficient energy, or uses the traffic data to make the transportation easier for the citizens, and so on.
Okay.
So each one of us put the importance to different aspects of it, but overall, I think it is using the technologies and the data to make the cities better places for us.
Great. It's very easy to understand when you explain it like this. And I appreciate that you highlight that it depends on the angle that the people are taking to address the topic. And probably it's also depends also of the vision that they have about the city. Because for instance, in my case, it was because it will be Vancouver will be the greenest city in the world. So the idea is to take the technology, but keep this part of green, and healthy city, and this part as a part of as a priority in the target. So it was really, as you said, there is a target and the visions, and then they define their purpose around this, and for sure the actions and the work. So let's go and work and talk on trust and inclusive technology.
Okay.
From your great experience, how we build transparent and trust technology today?
Oh, this is a very difficult question, I guess. So we can build transparent technologies. Are we going to trust the technologies is another part of it, I guess. And even for transparency, it is a balance between the privacy, transparency, explainability, collecting the data, but collecting it for a good use and letting all the actors know about what data we are collecting. So everyone can understand the benefits, the threats, the opportunities, the challenges. So I think the one step that we all need to take individually, organizationally, like bigger country-wise, worldwide, is to make our overall understanding and also requirements from technology to be transparent. If the users requires that, then the technology companies will have to implement it. Organizations will find the standardizations to make it run, and so on. I think it is in development that we will have transparent technologies that we will trust. But will it be 100% transparent? Will we trust it 100%? And how long will it take? I don't know.
Great. So you mentioned 2 points at the end that do we trust believe trust it for 100%, and for how many times can we trust it?
Yes.
Even if it's true for one reason, at least for one technology, for how many times? Great point. From your perspective, what are the main AI advances that you perceive, and where are the main challenges that research and industry should handle today?
AI algorithms and the success rates of these algorithms are increasing exponentially nearly, especially for the last years. I think this is not something that we don't know. We all know and heard about that. AI is now much more capable than before, and the reasons is because of computational powers, because of models that we can create, because of the data that we collected and now know more about, and so on. I personally think that this will continue to improve. The challenges are that this whole progress in AI is mainly driven by specific domains or disciplines, which I belong to them. So I am a computer scientist, and computer scientists are driving this advances in AI mainly. Good thing about it, at least they know what they are doing. Bad thing about it is that I don't think that we have enough education to understand how the implications of these advancements will affect individuals or the society or even economy or the politics and so on. And this is where we see the difficulties. I like to give this quote about the AI is that AI is built on models. And one good thing about the models is that when you have a model of something, it is really nice. You can work it out, but there is no right model. All the models are simplifications of the reality. So therefore, they are wrong. So that wrong still make things work, because if we didn't have the model, it wouldn't be happening. But it works wrongly. And in many cases, it hurts people, it hurts governments, it hurts individuals and societies. That is the main challenge that I see about this emergence of AI, I would say.
So you are talking about education. You are saying that there's maybe a lack of educations, and correct me if I understand wrong, but you are highlighting this part of education. But is it enough?
Another good but difficult question. Is it enough? The current education setting is, I don't believe that is enough to deal with the complexities that not only AI, but different emerging technologies would bring. The world is already quite complex, and technology has the power to make it easier, simplified, more understandable, more transparent, more explainable for us. But it also has this effect to make things even more complex. So being able to understand how AI works, or how cyber-physical systems works, or how virtual reality works, all needs to be already solved for especially younger generation. Otherwise, we see that these technologies, even though they have been implemented for good intentions, which many would say, can have bad consequences. and education to make people to understand how the technologies work and what they mean, where their limitations, would make these bad consequences to decrease. On the other hand, I still think that I think it was Virginia Dinknum who said this, that AI is so important to do not be left only for computer scientists. It is really important. She also talks a lot about responsible AI. So, and the only way to reach responsible AI is to include different perspectives, different disciplines, different stakeholders, and make these technologies together. Today, they are not, the products are not done this way. For that reason, they are not, I wouldn't say that they are treating everyone equally. And that's problem.
I'm just clarifying for the audience that a lot of questions are spontaneous during this discussion. That's why maybe sometimes you are very surprised because they are not the topic. All the topic that we discuss are not for sure shared before. So let's go to part 3 of this part of trust and inclusive technology. We know that AI and machines are helping us in many ways to settle a better life. But in the same time, machines are able to influence our behaviors as human. What are your thoughts about specific topics, which is emotional robots and machines, and how can we protect our people today against any type of manipulation?
Yeah, I mean, as we discussed in earlier question also, education is the most important tool that we have about this, I guess. So if we know how the robots work and how the emotional robots, the robots who can imitate emotional responses, may really be implemented, what are the ways to really build this kind of robot? What it means when they smile, what it means when their eyes light up, technical level, then people would understand that this is just like dimming in and out some LEDs. It doesn't mean that the robot is having light or smiling doesn't mean really that it understands who I am and feels happiness and as a reaction smiles. It is just a motor that moves and makes the mouth to smile. And this is connected to an algorithm, and this algorithm is designed by a human. So if we know this scene behind what is going on, then I don't think that no one will be easily manipulated because it is just a robot. But when the things become so complicated and we don't understand how they work, then we can think about that we can give more importance. There is also journalism side of this, that there are so many news about both AI and robots, which paints them quite differently than what they are really. So that is not helping, unfortunately, many people to understand how they work. We have this romanticism that we think that robots are understanding, feeling, and acting according to that. But that is not happening, and I don't think that it will happen soon. So it should be explained very well to everyone, so people do not get manipulated.
And how do you think about the recent project of Samsung that I communicated before about it? It was like maybe 1 year ago or maybe late during 2020 that we will have avatars everywhere, whether it's a nurse, whether it's your coach, wherever, and the problem is not having the avatars, as you mentioned. The problem is our meaning, our understanding of their useful impact or not useful impact. Okay, so it's our understanding who is the part that we need to work on it, and not only having avatars or robots or wherever. We can have all of them and they are useful, right? If we understand the positive impact, and also if there is any negative impact, because for sure there is some negative impact. and we need to highlight it and to let the people understand by that both sides. Unfortunately, as you see as a researcher, that there's a lot of agenda and there's a lot of marketing and there's a lot of media who can push in some way. So how we can be sure that these people, and especially now with social media and the bubbles and wherever, how we can be sure that we can protect those people? You talk about education, very important point. Is there anything that it comes to your mind in order to clarify the pictures instantly during the years? Because it's a complex
Yes.
part, it's not something easy. And exponential technology are going so fast. So it means
Exactly.
every couple of days we have some innovation. So
Exactly.
who is able to follow all those trends and highlight and inform and communicate and educate
Yeah.
in the right exponential speed?
There should be some fundamental and structural changes also implemented. We talked about education. I think it is also, surely education should be reorganized, and more people, more voices, more multidisciplinary ways of working should be implemented. I'm not saying that let's not educate the computer scientists. Computer scientists should be educated, but there should be another type of roles which we will need when we work with these systems. But then when we come to education, not everyone is able to reach the education. It is expensive. Different countries have different prices, different institutions, different certifications. There is always a reason why one wants to get an education. And sometimes this type of education doesn't bring you to a well-paid job, for instance. So there are, even the education itself is not so easy. But on top of that, I think there should be more initiatives that will reach people, like country reaching all of their citizens to inform them about this kind of fast forward, improving, emerging technologies and so on. One project that I love is from Finland. I don't remember the name.
I will
Element.ai.
talk about Finland just spontaneously as well. Finland is doing so great work
Exactly.
because there is a I'm thinking that it's university. We can share about this, and if you remember, we can talk you can send us those information, because Finland is doing great. There's a great project done like a couple years ago, probably 3 years ago, with a researcher, and they have an open framework to be educated about AI, and we already publish about this
Exactly.
part. I think you are talking
Exactly.
about the
It
same
is
thing.
exactly. It is Elements AI, and this is
Yes,
an online website which is free, and not only for Finnish people, for the whole world. It is open,
true.
and interactively it teaches you about how AI really works. And then at the end of that, you get also certification as a citizen. It has no other intention. It is not a deep course about AI. It doesn't really aim to make you an AI scientist at the end. It is designed for anyone in any age, in any country who can speak English, to get in, log in, and get an education on their own time. If they have time today and not tomorrow, it still works, and so on. So these kind of initiatives done by country, government, European Union founded this one, if I'm not wrong, shows the intention to really engage with citizens and include them to the discussion. Yes, we are going very fast, but if we are not moving all together, that is the difficulty, isn't it? If we are not moving together, some of us will run and some of us will be behind. No
Yeah.
one wants to be behind. If everyone has the equal chance, we all want to run, don't we?
You're right. And especially the young generation, we need that they run as well, right? Especially
Exactly.
to have the ones who can be the future leaders and end up in a great society with robots for sure, but with
Truly.
also authentic people and smart and wise people. This is the most important thing. So we talk now about smart city and IoT. We often read about smart city and IoT, and we just started talking about this a few minutes ago. Can you clarify these trends and what are the main challenge to build a smart city? And I have another questions about do we have an idea of the best players in the space of smart city? From my perspective, without any bias, I read a lot about Singapore and a little bit about Dubai, but it was like just my knowledge.
Smart cities and IoT. I can start with IoT, which means Internet of Things. In short, we call it IoT. So what Internet of Things means is smart devices, even not smart actually, devices which are, sorry for saying smart, they don't really need to be smart. They
Mhm.
just need to have internet connection.
Okay.
And this can be any type of sensors, like sensor who can sense light, movement, temperature, and so on. Or even having a device which has several sensors and can do things. But so only one, let's give an example of temperature sensor, which has an internet connection, is Internet of Things. And it doesn't really make so much difference in anyone's life if you have one sensor or not. But when we think about that, we have uh, sensors who senses temperature and sends this information about every street in a city. Then we can know much more than we know today about the temperature, uh, the proportion of different levels of temperature throughout the city. And this is only one information. We only talk about temperature, but think about that we have temperature, we have traffic congestion, we sense the light. Think about that we have smart meters in every household. So we see the energy demand and consumption, or we can have sensors in traffic lights, which senses the congestion and then this information. So when we have different type of data coming from the city, and we use this data to tackle different problems that our citizens are in need of solving, then this city, I say that is a smart city, or on the way to become a smart city. If we use this information and make smart decisions, then it is smart city. If we don't, then we wasted all of our money for fancy technologies and not using it for the well-being of our citizens. Um, who are the best players? I am very hesitant with the words like best, because I mean, I know that there are lots of lists who says that this is the best city, or this is the best country, or this is the best technology. But you know,
It's just
is the
to clarify,
definition. Yeah,
Didem, just to clarify this part, and I agree with you, and you are right to clarify it because it's from your perspective as a personal part, right? It's not
yeah,
professional. When I
yeah,
ask those questions, and I prefer to be very clear, that's why I
yeah,
said it's my couple knowledge without any deep knowledge. When I talk about Singapore and Dubai, it doesn't mean we did the research and we are very clear about this. That's why I agree when you said let's put it on the context of a personal, just personal perspective, what you think,
yes,
without
yes.
talking about best
I,
players, but let's say the ones who are really running in this part.
yeah, I personally think that it is difficult to identify who is doing better than others for us, for different reasons. I believe that best smart city should be sustainable. So that means that we are not producing unnecessary carbon dioxide emission. we are providing education to our kids in this city by using the data for free, for instance. And we are taking care of our elderly much better by using these new data points that we are. That is for me the good smart city, and I don't know who is doing how much to decide which one is best. But Singapore has, I think it is Smart Nation Initiative or Nation Smart, something like that. I'm not really sure about. I also have dyslexia. For that reason, I cannot keep things like memorize things.
It's fine.
But I think anyone can write like Smart
Yeah.
Nation Singapore will find what it is. Which is an initiative for nearly 10 years that is working to make Singapore a smarter place. And it starts with cameras for improving the safety, which may also be seen as, oh, so much cameras, what is happening with my privacy? But they are working on several data acquiring methods, including cameras, sensors, GPS data, and so on. And they are using it to make Singapore a better city, better place. So for that reason, I think they are doing really good. Never been in Singapore, so I wish I was there so I can say that, oh, I have been. It was really smart, but I don't know.
I was there like just before on 2018, October 2018 to be very clear, and for a couple times before, but that's a time that is the last. And in Singapore, it's bring, but I say things with bias, right? Because it's personal perspective, sure. It's just a feeling. But Singapore is a place where really you see you are feeling and watching the progress. And I cannot say that people are civilized or not, because you need to stay much more time, not 3 weeks, 1 month, and then you say, okay, I feel like, everything is correct in a way of civilization. But at least from a high perspective, we can say that in Singapore, for them, it's really easy to handle new stuff and to handle the things, the new projects, even if it's a disruptive way to go to the futures. I think they have the mindset and the rules to handle it in a very short time. And when you observe how they live, you can understand this. And probably also because it's not that much big, it's this new city. There's a lot of reasons that are more logic, right? Than what I've seen. But in general, I think they have what we call the socle to handle those things very quick compared to other countries. So great for them. In Singapore, and you see a lot of things, incredible things. But anyway, in one of your recent articles, you said that tech firms are winning the AI race because they understand data. Other sectors need to catch up. My question is it true that most corporates didn't yet unlock around 10-20% of the potential of data and AI for their businesses and customers?
Yes, this is a very important point, really. It is true that when we look at all the sectors, all the industries, all the corporations, we see that not so many of them are able to operationalize their data. So traditionally, many sectors, automotive manufacturing, telecommunication, health, all of them collecting data. But it was not for collecting and analyzing data or using the data to build some AI models or automating some decisions. It was for their systems to operate, basically. This type of data is different. I want a software to work. That software needs to have a database so it can work. And that I call that also a data that my company collected. But that database and what data it collected doesn't always means that I can use the same data to make my life better, my business processes better, or serve my customers better, because that database designed for the software to work. So this mentality, this new ways of acquiring data, collecting, curating, analyzing, and then operationalizing this data, bringing some insights, some analysis, and use this to make our products better, customer service better, and all the production life cycle better. That is not there yet. It is, I say that it is technology companies are utilizing it, and that's right. But one thing that we need to also understand is it is easy for a technology company to work with data because you don't have any product, like physical product, that can be broken. You don't have manufacturing processes that you need to. You don't have any investment to machines that will make the product really to happen. Mm-hmm. So it is easy. Everything is software. You go and change your software and collect more data. And so it is easier to work in cyber part of the things. When it becomes physical, then things becomes much more difficult. So on one hand, I understand why different industries are having different speed to have data and AI maturity to increase. On the other hand, I also want to emphasize that they should be faster. They need to be faster. Otherwise, some new companies, like we saw in automotive sector, a new company comes with electric cars, which are so fancy and cool, and everyone loves it, and then it shakes the whole automotive industry. And we like this in one side. I mean, I am happy that it happened. It should happen. It should have happened earlier. On the other side, economically, it affects so many factories. So many people lost their jobs because of this. So, yeah, there is this balancing factor.
Yesterday, I was trying to start a new article with Forbes about disruption in the context of non-profit organization, but it's disruption again. And what you are saying remind me what I wrote yesterday, because it's those companies, unfortunately, and especially the ones, as you said, where they rely a lot on physical aspects, and their business is on top of this part of physical, is not that much easy for sure, as you said. But again, it's much more about the decision makers, how they can see the future of their corporate or their industry. And again, it's much more about mindset than about physical boundary that we can face everyone in our businesses. So
I completely agree.
When it comes to make a change, we need to talk about mindset, because it's not about obstacles. We will face anyway obstacles, right? Whether it's a software company like Salesforce, who is doing great in AI as well, because it's much more easy for them. And as you explained, it's true, because it's a software company and they used to have and collect data, right?
Exactly.
Probably they have issue, but easier than the other one. But you're right, when it comes to physical part of business, and especially manufacturers, or health, there's a lot of industry.
Construction, for instance. It's mind-blowing.